So guys, in this session, we will understand a very important technical indicator, that is moving average. Now, moving average is one of the most famous technical indicators, not just in India, but around the world. And the interesting part about moving average is that it is used not just by traders, but also by long-term investors, right? So traders use it to find short-term technical trends in the stocks, whereas investors use it to find long-term investment opportunities. So what exactly is moving average? Well, in a very simple terms, moving average is the average price of the last n number of periods. Now this n can be 5 days, 20 days, or even 200 days, depending on your requirement. So let me explain you with a simple example so that at least you can understand the calculation behind it. So let's say, for example, that this is how a stock has been trading in the past 10 trading sessions. Now for this particular stock, let's say we want to calculate the 5-day moving average. Now how will we do that? Well, for the first 4 days, we will not be able to calculate anything because for calculating a 5-day moving average, we need at least 5 days, right? So day 1 to day 4, there will be no value for the moving average. Now for the 5th day, the moving average will be calculated by taking the average of the first 5 days, right? So you add all of them up and divide that by 5. Now on the 6th day, the value of the moving average will be the average of day 2 till day 6. So as you can see that for the 6th day, we have ignored the value of day 1, right? So basically what we are doing is we are moving, right? Every day that we are going forward, we are moving the range, and that is the reason why it is called as a moving average. Now similarly, of course, for day 7, the value of the moving average will be the average of day 3 till day 7, and so on and so forth. Now, after all these values are calculated, moving average is simply plotted as a line on the chart of that stock, right? So moving average will basically look something like this. Now the good news is that you don't have to do this calculation every time, right? So for every stock, if you have to calculate the moving average by putting this formula, that will be too much of a hassle, right? So the best part is that every broker in the world will give you a ready-made technical indicator called moving average, and you just simply have to pick it and plot it. So let me quickly show you how it looks like in real life. So guys, this right here is Zerodha's terminal, as you guys know, and let me show you how you can plot a moving average. So I'm going to pick Reliance here, and I'm going to make it into the full screen. So for plotting the moving average on this chart, it's actually very easy. So I'm just going to go to studies, and I'm going to search for moving average right here. And this is where I have to specify what is the period, right? So in this particular case, let's say, for example, I want to have a 200-day moving average from a long-term investment perspective, and I can, let's say, give it a different color. I'm just going to go with, let's say, blue. That's it. So by looking at this line, I can say that, okay, from a long-term perspective, Reliance is bullish because it is trading above its 200-day moving average. So this is basically how you can do. And you can, of course, you can add more moving averages if you want, right? So you can also have a 50-day moving average on the same chart, right? So guys, so far we have understood what is moving average and how is it calculated, right? But the question is, what is the point of doing all this, right? What does moving average actually tell us? So the beauty of moving average is that it smoothens out the short-term price fluctuations in a stock and gives us the big picture of the trend, right? So what happens is that, you see any particular stock on a day-to-day basis, the stock is going up, stock is going down, right? The stock keeps doing all these songs and dance. But if you want to see the big picture, that is this stock in an uptrend or is it in a downtrend, then moving average tells us the real story, right? So if the moving average is moving upwards, we will say that the stock is bullish. And if the moving average is going down, we can infer that the stock is bearish. So that is the core intent. That is the core purpose why people use moving average, because they want to see the big picture. They don't want to be getting stuck in this day-to-day fluctuations of the stock price. Now, the important thing to keep in mind is the period selected for calculating the moving average, right? So short-term traders, they use shorter duration for calculating the moving average, right? So normally short-term traders would use a 20-day moving average or a 50-day moving average, and sometimes even a 100-day moving average to identify short-term trading opportunities in the stock. Whereas for the long-term investors, they use a longer duration, right? So a very famous, a very common duration that is used by long-term investors is a 200-day moving average. And you can of course understand here the rationale, right? So because short-term traders are looking for short-term trends, whereas long-term investors are looking for long-term trends. So guys, that was a big picture of moving average, what moving average is all about, right? But there are a lot of variations in moving average. The number one variation is that you can use moving average as a simple moving average or an exponential moving average. Also, moving average can be plotted on different time frames, right? So the example that we took was on a daily chart, but you can also plot moving average on a weekly chart or a monthly chart, or even on an intraday chart of, let's say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Another variation or another usage of moving average is when it is used in calculating other indicators such as MACD, right? So moving average is of course so much prevalent, so much useful that this is just the beginning of what we need to discuss about that. So we will discuss some of these topics in future videos, but at least in this video, I hope that you understand the basic logic of moving average, which is one of the most important technical indicators you will use in your stock market analysis. And if you want to learn more about moving average, then I have made a separate video where I have explained exactly what is that special quality that the moving average has that makes it such a powerful indicator. So do watch that video. And if you want to test your understanding of moving average, we have created a very special quiz for that. So I will recommend you to take that quiz as well.